Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to really dig into fascinating sources and pull out those key nuggets of knowledge for you.
And today, we're tackling something that might just challenge how you think about finding peace.
Exactly. We often chase things like, popularity, external validation, maybe certain comforts, thinking that's the path to feeling content.
But what if some ancient wisdom suggests those very things? Well, what if they're actually getting in the way? Subtle roadblocks, perhaps?
That's what we're exploring today. We're diving deep into the 40 Cattālīsanipāta. It's a collection of verses, mostly from the Buddhist Elder Mahākassapa. Really insightful stuff.
Yeah, it's like a direct line into the thinking and practices of people who reached a very high level of realization. Our mission is to unpack their insights on detachment, inner calm, and, what being truly informed about the path to peace actually means.
And these aren't just summaries. We're looking at the verses themselves, the raw wisdom. We want to pull out what's most relevant for you.
Right. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with some of these unexpected hurdles to tranquility. You'd normally think being popular, having a big group around you, that's good, right?
Seems logical. Connection, community.
But one of the first verses we looked at, TH 1051, it actually warns against being surrounded by a group. It says, leads to a distracted mind, vimano is the term.
And that makes meditation really difficult. Samadhi dulavo. It's tough to find that focus.
It really cuts against the grain of, modern life, doesn't it? Where we're often encouraged to be constantly connected.
Totally. The text is quite direct, gathering with lots of different people. That's suffering. See this? It says, and don't delight in crowds. It's a challenge to our usual social instincts. Maybe peace needs a different kind of company, or lack thereof.
And it goes further. The H1052 warns about attending to families kulani. Same deal. Can lead to distraction.
And specifically, a craving for flavors raso nudo. Interesting, right? You get caught up in the pleasantries, the tastes, and you miss what's actually beneficial for your inner path.
But here's where it gets really fascinating for me. T1053 talks about praise and veneration of Vandana Prijana from families, things we'd normally see as positive.
Right. Validation, respect.
The text calls it mud, like actual med, and a subtle, hard-to-bear dart.
Wow, a dart.
Yeah, and even a difficult-to-abandon honor for a weak person. It's painting praise, something we often seek as this sticky, painful thing.
So why mud or a dart? I think the insight there is that even that positive validation, that external pat on the back, it can create this subtle attachment.
Attachment to approval.
Exactly. It feeds the ego, and it can stop you finding that real peace that comes from within, not from what others think. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is that like that bit of praise actually holding you back?
Okay, so to really illustrate this level of detachment, that kind needed to see praise as mud. There's this incredible story about Mahākassapa.
Yes. Powerful stuff.
The L54 says he's going for alms in the city, and he mindfully approaches a man suffering from leprosy kuhi.
He's deliberately going towards what most people would avoid.
And then, the H1055, the man offers him food from his diseased hand. And get this, as he's putting the food in the bowl, his finger breaks off and falls in with the alms.
It just falls in?
Yeah. And Mahākassapa, TH1056 says he ate it. He ate the food, finger and all, with absolutely no revulsion. Jiguchmena vijati. No disgust.
It's hard to even imagine that level of mental control, isn't it? It shows a mind completely free from ordinary disgust, beyond our usual ideas of clean and unclean.
So what's the takeaway for us? Not necessarily to seek out lepers' fingers.
Definitely not. But it's about seeing that extreme non-attachment, not just to things, but to our own feelings, our aversions. What things do we find subtly disgusting or unacceptable?
Like maybe just slightly imperfect fruit or someone coughing near us.
Right, those little things. This story challenges us to see how even minor aversions limit our inner freedom. It's about noticing those subtle strings of attachment.
Wow, okay. That really puts my aversion to, say, soggy cereal in perspective.
Yeah.
So what kind of life actually builds that kind of mindset?
Yeah.
TS1057 gives us some clues. It lists the 4 requisites of a true ascetic, a sonaro.
The essentials for a wanderer.
And they are pretty stark. Food begged for alms, medicine, fermented urine, a place to sleep, the root of a tree, and clothing, rags scavenged from a dust heap.
Talk about minimal living. But these aren't just about poverty, they're tools. Active choices designed to cut through attachment to comfort, status, possessions, all of it.
They're the bedrock of a life aimed purely at inner liberation. Constant practice in letting go.
Exactly.
So if attachment and needing validation are the hurdles, what's the solution? Where did someone like Mahākassapa find genuine peace?
Well, his own practice points the way, and Tates 1588 talks about him going up into the mountains, these rocky peaks, Salukaya.
Using spiritual power, Itabelena, to get there and just meditate.
Right. And the verses describing him meditating, T1059 to 1061, they paint this picture of incredible inner stillness. He's Pathanabaya Bredabo, completely fearless, beyond terror, and Hahamanasu Nebuto, which means unburnt amidst the burning. He's untouched by those mental fires, greed, anger, delusion that usually disturb us.
He's completed his task, it says. And Anasavo, free from mental effluence, those underlying currents that cloud the mind.
It shows that these practices lead to this really profound, unshakable peace, even in potentially harsh environments.
And he wasn't just enduring these places. He found joy there. Several verses, like TA 1062 through 1065 and 1068, 1069, they have him saying, Tisilaramayanti, these peaks delight me.
He describes them so vividly, beautiful, cool, pure water, echoing with the sounds of elephants and birds.
But crucially, not crowded with people. Frequented by wild animals instead. It really emphasizes nature as a sanctuary for the spirit.
It does. There's this deep connection being drawn between the natural world and inner peace. Finding contentment away from human-made stuff, away from constant social noise, just being present in that raw tranquility.
It reminds you that real delight can be simple, right? Just mindful presence.
Absolutely. Which leads to another really interesting contrast he makes.
The orchestra comparison.
Yeah, in TH 10071, Mahākassapa says flat out, no amount of delight you get from a fancy five-fold orchestra, panikogi kana turiena, can even compare to the joy of a focused mind truly seeing the Dharma.
Ekagachitasa samadama vipassato. So it's not like pleasure itself is bad.
No, not necessarily. It's about understanding the quality of the pleasure. Worldly entertainment, sensory stuff. It's fleeting, isn't it?
Right.
But the joy that comes from deep inner clarity, from insight meditation, that's described as something much deeper, more lasting, more satisfying. It's a peace cultivated from within, not depending on outside stimulation.
Okay, that makes sense. Finding peace and solitude in nature through insight. But what about the inner qualities needed? You can't just sit on a rock and expect enlightenment, right?
Probably not. And the texts are pretty clear about certain inner obstacles, like pride.
Right. First, there's a warning against just being too busy. 1072 and 1073 talk about avoiding too much work. Kamabaho.
Because it just exhausts you, body and mind, and prevents finding that tranquility. It makes me think of today's, hustle culture. Always busy, but are we actually finding peace?
Good point. And then, TH 10074 and 1075 really go after arrogance. The stiff-necked person who's always thinking, I'm better than others, or maybe thinks they're equal to their superiors when, well, they're not.
The texts say the wise don't praise a mind like that. And this is critical because it targets a really sneaky attachment to ego, to status.
Even if it's just in your own head.
Especially then, it blocks true wisdom. It distorts how you see things, stops you from genuinely learning or finding peace.
So if that's the wrong way, what is the mark of true wisdom according to these verses?
TH 1076 and 1077 lay it out. A truly wise person isn't constantly comparing themselves thinking, I'm superior, I'm inferior, or even I'm equal.
They just don't engage in that comparison game.
Right. They speak truthfully, they're solid in their ethics, their virtue, and they have inner tranquility. That's who the wise praise.
So wisdom isn't just being smart. It's this deep inner stability. No need to constantly measure yourself against others.
Exactly. It's a kind of profound self-acceptance, recognizing our interconnectedness, perhaps, that allows real peace to emerge.
And this connects to how we relate to others on the path, too. TH 178 says that disrespecting your spiritual companions, well, it puts you as far from the true Dharma, the true teaching, as the earth is from the sky.
Strong words. It shows how community, when approached with humility and respect, is important.
And then TH 179 gives us this real aha moment. It says, having a sense of shame, hirya, and a dread of wrongdoing on tapai, these qualities actually lead to spiritual flourishing. They help end the cycle of rebirth.
It sounds a bit old-fashioned, maybe shame and dread, but it's about ethical self-awareness, a genuine aversion to causing harm or acting unskillfully.
So it's not just morality for morality's sake. It's functional. It creates the right conditions for growth.
Precisely. It's like preparing the soil. These qualities make the mind fertile for liberation, for that ultimate freedom.
Okay. Then we get this really vivid analogy. It's about appearance versus reality. TH 1080 and 1081.
Ah, the monk in the rag robe.
Yes. a monk wearing this simple robe made from dusty rags, pasukulema purito. If that monk is arrogant, fickle, restless inside,
He's like a monkey wearing a lion skin. All show, no substance, doesn't shine.
but another monk wearing the same simple robe, but who is humble, composed, wise, with senses under control.
That monk is like a lion in its mountain cave. Truly splendid, radiant.
Wow. So what does that tell you, the listener, about how we judge worth?
It's a direct hit, isn't it? External appearances, the robe you wear, the job title, the status symbols, they mean nothing without the inner quality. True worth, true splendor comes from the state of your mind, your character. It's calling us to look deeper.
Okay, moving towards the peak experiences described here, the verses depict some really awe-inspiring scenes of reverence and realization.
Yeah, the one about Sāriputta is incredible.
TI 1082 to 1085, it describes 10,000 gods, that devasahasani, powerful ones, even from the Brahma realms.
Beings of immense power and insight themselves.
Standing there, hands folded in respect, revering Sāriputta, calling him the commander of the Dhamma.
And they express this sense of wonder. They say that even they who are supposedly skilled enough to pierce a single hair with an arrow of Valavedi, they cannot fathom the object of Sāriputta's deep meditation.
It just floors you, doesn't it? The depth of his attainment is beyond even divine comprehension. It speaks volumes about the power of that inner cultivation.
Absolutely. It points to a level of insight that transcends even extraordinary psychic or celestial abilities.
And then there's this lovely little human detail in TH 1086. Another elder, Kapina, sees all this happening, the gods revering Sāriputta, and he just smiles.
Yeah, it's subtle. What do you make of that smile?
Maybe it's a quiet recognition, like seeing true spiritual worth being acknowledged, independent of any worldly stuff, or even divine fanfare. Just a quiet appreciation of that profound inner state.
I like that. A knowing smile. An acknowledgement of something truly admirable.
Then Mahākassapa himself makes a statement in TH 1087 that sounds quite bold.
Oh, right, about his own practice.
Yeah. He says basically, apart from the Buddha himself, he is the most distinguished in ascetic practices, tutagu visyo hai. He says he has no equal in that specific area.
It could sound like boasting out of context, maybe. But I think it's meant as an objective statement of his mastery in that particular path. The path of rigorous discipline and renunciation.
Right. Acknowledging his unique expertise, the path he perfected, which led to his own profound state.
Exactly. It highlights the effectiveness of that specific, demanding practice for deep detachment.
And then finally, the verses bring us to the Buddha, Gotama himself.
Yeah.
1089 and 1090 give this incredible description.
The ultimate embodiment of these teachings.
He's described as completely unstained by anything worldly, robes, lodging, food, like a pure lotus flower, a malali flower, rising above the water but untouched by it.
Utterly detached from all three realms of existence, sensory, fine material, immaterial. Complete freedom from all conditions.
And there's this beautiful metaphor. Mindfulness is his neck, faith his hand, wisdom his head, great knowledge his eye. Always moving in liberation.
It gives such a clear picture of the goal state, doesn't it? Total unshakable freedom from all attachment, all suffering. Moving through the world, yet completely untouched by its defilements. That's the ultimate so what? The peak of inner freedom.
Wow, what an incredible journey through these verses. We've really covered a lot.
We have, from the surprising warnings about popularity and praise being like mud or a dart,
to the deep solace found in solitude and nature, the importance of humility over arrogance.
and seeing those almost unimaginable states of detachment and wisdom in figures like Mahākassapa, Sāriputta,
And culminating in the Buddha.
and these verses, thousands of years old, they still feel so relevant. They offer this timeless view on what actually leads to real fulfillment, real freedom.
It challenges our assumptions, right? About what we think will bring happiness versus what actually cultivates peace.
Definitely. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed by modern life's demands or just seeking deeper clarity, these insights push us to look closely. What really helps create a peaceful mind, and what just looks like it should but doesn't.
So that brings us back to you, the listener. In our world, a world that constantly rewards getting more attention, more validation, always being on.
What seemingly positive thing might you be clinging to? What might be acting like that subtle dart the verses talked about, hindering your own path to inner peace?
Something to definitely think about until our next deep dive.